The whole world ended about a year and a half ago. But I'm still here. Since the shit hit the fan, my whole life has become an endless montage of running, hiding, starving. I'm all alone out here, and each day could easily be my last, but I don't know what else to do but keep running, keep hiding, keep surviving. My name is Kurt, and I am living through a zombie apocalypse. So fucked up to say out loud. But it's true. We are about a year, maybe a year and a half into this now. I've been on my own for the last 6 months of that. I'm making this recording from Saskatchewan, Canada. It's about the middle of October. You can probably see my breath. It's starting to get cold out already. I have set myself up in an old RV that I found in a vehicle wrecking yard outside of a small town. Actually set up quite a bit better than I was last year. Last winter was tough. Winter's kind of a big deal where I'm at. But the big advantage is that zombies freeze. They freeze solid in the winter. I don't know what else to say. That's it for now.
What I know about the zombies, which isn't much. The zombie virus, for lack of a better term, is extremely infectious and presents as a sort of encephalitis with flu-like symptoms, attacking the nervous system. The virus is spread primarily through blood and saliva, but there have been rare cases of infection from scratches. Properly treated, a scratch victim usually makes a full recovery, but pre-existing health conditions can change the likelihood of that dramatically. The virus eventually shuts down all higher functions as the brain swells, and the victim will become extremely irritable in the early stages of infection. Their pupils will dilate, and bright lights will be extremely painful. This irritability progresses to aggressive mood swings, then violent blackout rages, and eventually only a lizard brain hunger remains as the patient expires. This death is deceiving, as the body continues to function without any of the metabolic functions generally considered life, despite its ravenous hunger. The zombie is able to move and has sensory input, but will no longer require food or air. It will not tire and feels no pain. The virus works a strange biochemical change on the flesh of the carrier that isn't really understood, infusing the cells with a substance that somehow retards the natural process of decomposition. Normally, an exposed corpse will rot away to bone in a matter of weeks, but a zombie can still be shambling along almost a year later. When newly turned, a zombie is terrifyingly fast and strong, its body operating at full predatory capacity at all times, fueled by the same manic adrenaline strength of a mother lifting a minivan off of her child. They are still dead, though, and their tissue doesn't heal from strain, so they soon become the shambling dead we mostly see now. Most zombies eat their own lips, and repeated hand injuries due to poor coordination can leave the fingers jagged bone talons. Their ravenous hunger often causes them to rupture their guts, and it isn't unusual to see them trailing intestines in the dirt. Zombies are very fast and strong, but they lack fine coordination. They can climb stairs, but not a ladder, etc. I have slept in trees or on top of buildings to stay out of their reach. Their pupils are wide open at all times, so they have excellent night vision. I try to avoid night travel as they see far better than I do, and a flashlight would only attract them. Some animals can also catch the virus, but they react much differently than an infected human host. They will present rabies-like symptoms and are fully capable of infecting people with their bites. Death occurs by extended seizures less than 12 hours later, and on death they rapidly decompose, the exact opposite of the slow-rotting human zombies. Even their bones crumble to greasy dust. Zombies are attracted to lights, loud or disruptive noises, and unusual smells. For this reason, fires or operating motor vehicles or tools are dangerous. I tend to travel on foot, but a bicycle with a well-oiled chain is well worth its weight in gold. The movie trope of killing a zombie by destroying its brain is, thankfully, accurate. Bodily injuries are completely ineffective. Fire does nothing but set everything in flame. Chemical agents are similarly useless. Anything that injures a sufficient portion of the brain will take down a zombie. My usual method is to jab something into an eye socket and give what's left in the skull a quick stir. And that's about it. I hope it helps.
Okay, I am just about to make a run into town. It is a couple kilometers away, so it'll be like a good half-hour hike, but it is doable. This time of year, before too much of the snow's fallen, I am basically just doing my best to accumulate as many canned goods and non-perishable type supplies as I can, just to cut down on the amount of times I have to make the run back into town. When I do go into town, I take a gravel road that'll take me in. I mean, you can use the highway, but there's a spot that is all blocked off with vehicles. And the last time I was through there, I ran into a couple unfriendlies, so I stick to the gravel road now. I'm going to be checking out a place that I have been before, and just getting more shit.
Is anybody in Ireland here who's okay and who's seen my little sister? I don't have a photograph. She's kind of small for her age. We were travelling together and I lost her. Please, if you see her, get back to me and tell her I'm so sorry.
Following the advice of Kurt East, he encouraged me to share a video about ourselves and our situations and what's going on, what we are living, we are feeling, whatever. So this is the first video that I made, and I hope that we can share some information with each other. So before everything happened, before all of this, it's them out there. I'm in my living room and there's a window over here and I can hear them walking outside, and no matter how many times pass, I will never get used to the sounds of those fucking creatures. It just makes me... So as I was saying, I was a photographer before everything this shit happened. I was kind of an indoor person. I like to be at home, and ironically now I have to be at home all the time. I made an excursion yesterday outside. So I got trapped in a construction building. I had to stay there after sunset because those fucking creatures were surrounding the building. They could not see me, but they knew that I was there. They could smell me, I don't know, they could sense that there's someone there. There was no way that they could get where I was. I was on the 3rd floor. Too many stairs, too many obstacles. I knew that they wouldn't reach me, but in order for me to come back, I needed to go down. I had to wait a long time before they decided to go away after the sunset, but I still had to wait about 3 hours maybe after the sunset. Made my way back home in total darkness. This is terrifying. I just lost track during the events, and I don't know if they're in a safe place. Maybe they are thinking that I am dead too, somewhere. Just don't know where my family is. Just lost everyone. I think it's okay. So I kind of talk to myself. It makes me feel alive. I can spend my life in silence. I have any light and electricity in here for quite a while. I have, I'm not sure. It's a kind of a machine that can generate power. A generator, I think that's the name. The thing is, it makes a lot of noise, and I'm not sure if that is safe to bring it inside. One thing that I notice, I don't know if this happens to you. I don't feel the shock or the fear, the constant fear that I felt some weeks ago, some months ago. I don't feel terrified every day, all day. I just don't care. But I'm alone. Right now I'm alone. And sometimes I just sit for hours doing nothing. I try not to make too much noise when I cough, but sometimes it's impossible.
I never fit in before all this. Not really. Obsessed with the 90s, I felt like I'd been born a generation late. When this all finally hit, I can't pretend I hadn't rehearsed what I'd do when this happened. I used to watch zombie movies all the time. I was in class, and when a teacher walked in missing an arm and with his guts hanging out, I was one of the few who made it out of the school and out to the parking lot. I saw some really horrible shit on the way to my car. When I finally got to my parents' place, they were already packing up their car. I guess they'd been trying to text and call, but service had gone down, and they couldn't get a hold of me. They were happy to see me, but immediately pissed when I said I was going to my girlfriend's place. I know. It was high school shit, and I wasn't thinking straight. They eventually left without me, but I never got to my girlfriend. I never saw my family alive again. When I stopped by my father's apartment a while later, I didn't expect to find him there. He was dead. A knife jammed into his head behind the ear. I don't know what happened to him. After that, I kind of roamed solo for a while until I stumbled into the community I currently call home.
The survivors out there in the world. This is Cabot, Arkansas.
My dog and I, Cashew, we're out for a walk trying to find provisions. We see a little, like a project, and there's, I don't know how many houses, we're going to find out, but probably can find a lot of supplies. I really hope to be able to find some food as my provisions are getting low, and this time of year I find it difficult to forage for other than like mushrooms because most things are dying.
Well, it's been teasing snow for a few days now, but this is what I woke up to this morning. Back to the deep freeze for another 6 months, I guess.
So yesterday didn't go as planned. Scratch I got didn't stop bleeding at all last night. Woke up to a mess this morning. Not feeling too great. Anyway, yeah.
It has been really good to be able to see that there's other people out there. I hope you find a way out of the situations you currently find yourselves in. Buddy with the scratches there, Mike, that doesn't sound good. I mean, I have heard of people coming back from a scratch, but we know that it generally doesn't go very well. I'm going to be making a run into town today, my usual scavenging thing. If you're watching this, I didn't die. I travel light, so my gear is pretty basic. I dress in layers for the chilly Canadian spring. T-shirt and thermal shirt, long underwear, canvas camo pants to hide me from unfriendly eyes, a hooded sweater, knitted hat. Carry a backpack to store scavengings, and wear comfortable shoes. I wear boots in the winter, but choose shoes over boots for ease of running when there's no snow on the ground. I wear goggles. Getting zombie goo in your eyes will kill you, just as dead as a bite. I wear protective forearm bracers, made from large cans and layered cardboard and duct tape. Most zombie bites happen as defensive wounds on the forearms, but these are tooth busters. My weapon of choice is a nice, heavy hammer. It fucks up zombie heads real good. I take a trail that leads out to the road from the salvage yard. It saves me a bit of travel time on the way into town. Alone, out in the middle of nowhere like this, it's easy to fall victim to a false sense of security. Generally speaking, as long as you stay away from where other people are, the towns, cities, you'll usually also stay away from where the zombies are, so you feel safe. They're still out here, though. And that false sense of security will get you killed. You can never relax. You can never stop listening. You can never stop watching. They are always hungry.
Okay, I have made the quick hike into town and have stopped at a place that I have come to a couple times already. Unlike a lot of the places that I go to, this place doesn't seem to be picked over yet. Right now, basically my mission is to just accumulate as many canned goods as I can to avoid having to make the trip into town too many times. I recommend a backpack, definitely, over a duffel bag. When you use a duffel bag, you are tempted to overload it. So if you do have to end up running away from something, you usually end up tossing the bag so you can run, and you're not going to come back for it, probably. A backpack and can opener make you king in the zombie apocalypse. A year and a half, 2 years into it, some of these canned goods, the expiry dates are starting to come up, but in a lot of cases, those are just suggestions. As I'm sure anybody watching this probably knows, when you come into a place like this, the first thing you need to do is do a lap of the whole place. Check every room. Make sure it's empty. It isn't always. You also want to make sure that you stay underneath the level of the windows if you can. Even if one of the dead ones doesn't see you from the outside, they aren't really the ones you need to worry about this time of year anyway. The ones you really need to look out for are other living people. Just like you, they are looking for food and shelter, and they're probably willing to kill you to get you through one. So I try to avoid both.
The snow that was just starting when I got here is picked up, so looks like I made this trip right on time. I'll be taking the same gravel road I walked in on, so it'll be the same 20-ish minute walk. I had just finished building the arm guard and posted the pictures, and was stepping outside my camper to take a pee. Luckily for me, I'd worn the arm guard out. In retrospect, it was my own fault. Still thinking about the post and editing the captions in my head as I stepped out, distracted, I didn't even see it coming. I stood with my back to the breeze and began relieving myself. From around the back of my camper, a dead man in his mid-30s suddenly lurched at me, his arms outstretched and broken fingers curled into gnarled claws. Yelping, I pissed on myself a little as I stumbled back, shrinking in fear behind my zipper and darting my eyes around for a weapon. I'm not sure what I tripped over, but the next I knew, I was on my ass. The zombie didn't waste any time and was on top of me immediately. The man was of fairly recent turn and was much stronger than his slim frame would suggest. There were ice crystals on his cheeks, and his hair was frosted by the cool morning. The eyes were black, like shark eyes, with nothing behind them but hunger. I managed to get my arm guard up in time, keeping it between the snapping teeth and my face. The zombie was a little taller than me, but was skinnier. I've lost quite a lot of weight since this all started. Between all the walking and the many nights I went to bed with sleep for my supper, but I still had an easy 40 pounds on the flailing corpse, and I managed to heave it up and off of me. Scrambling to my feet, I spotted a stack of wheel rims. Swinging my arm with the guard on it as hard as I could, I felt the can flex around my wrist as it connected with his forehead. The zombie didn't feel it, of course, but I managed to knock it off balance and it fell back. In the seconds it took for the zombie to regain its feet, I grabbed one of the tire rims and brought it down hard on its head. It was a nice, big 4x4 rim, about 25, 30 pounds, and my panic strength caved the zombie's skull in on the first swing. I dropped it a couple more times, just to be sure, stopping when I felt a twinge in my left shoulder. I sat kneeling by the body for a couple minutes, panting to get my breath back. Glancing down, I frowned at the trail of piss down the front of my pants. I grabbed the corpse by the cuffs of its pant legs and dragged it as far from my camper as I could, grunting with the effort. I'm thinking the zombie must have tracked me here along my usual route to town and back. As is my habit, I'll be changing the location of my camp after this encounter. It's never just one.
I'm kind of starting to think that maybe I'm wasting my time looking for her, and I should just think about myself.
Okay, I have hiked back to where I left that truck the other day, and I am just about to rip back to the salvage yard where I have my camper. We are moving camp. We're getting the fuck out of here. I have ripped back out to the salvage yard with that truck, and I've just got to hook it up to my camper. I don't think it should be a problem to pull my camper with this truck. And basically my plan is to just drive until I'm about halfway through my fuel and hopefully near a town, and then look for a new camp spot. And that'll be my new home. I find myself at the end of a very long and frustrating day. Getting my camper hooked up to the truck to pull was a lot more of a fuck around than I thought it was going to be. I ran into a bunch of blocked off roads, got stuck multiple times. And I think I'm gonna call it a day. I ended up parking my camper in the driveway of a small farmhouse outside of a small town. I don't know if it'll be permanent. I just know I've had enough of moving day. When I first pulled my camper into the driveway of the little farmhouse, my initial thought was to check out the farmhouse and actually move into it. A house is obviously a better place to spend the winter than a camper. Unfortunately, that turned out not to be a possibility. When I checked out the farmhouse, when I got inside, I realized that there had been a fire. It looked like it had started in the upstairs and burned down one whole side of the house. So there went my plans for staying there for the winter. I did still check out the entire place though. Generally pretty picked over, but it did look like whoever had been there had left in a hurry. couldn't tell if it was before or after the fire. I saved the basement for last. When I first walked in, you could smell just rot. So I thought there might be a dead body somewhere in the house. It didn't turn up in any of the other rooms, so I figured it was probably in the basement. I went into the basement and you could just smell the death. So I thought it was maybe a zombie. Wouldn't be the first time I'd seen one trapped in a room for however long. But it wasn't a zombie. I'm thinking it must have been the farm dogs. For whatever reason, they left in a hurry. They didn't take the dogs with them. They just left them in their kennels in the basement to starve and die. They'd been shitting out through the bars. I've seen a lot of fucked up shit since this all started. Dead friends, family. I was still pretty fucked up though.
I've been on the run for days. Every time I stop, they fucking find me again. Do not trust the temple. They did this all on fucking purpose. Don't trust them.
The survivor Kurt has gone overnight, but we have taken control of his account. We will find and contain Survivor Kurt. He cannot hide, neither we have resources in all survivor points, internationally, and it is only a matter of time.
It is minus 31 degrees Celsius outside this morning. The wind is blowing the snow sideways. I did my best to winterize my camper before the freeze, but I had to leave it behind when I ran, so it isn't doing me much good now. I'm currently in the basement of a small house, with the door barricaded and the windows covered to outside eyes. I'm wrapped up in a blanket like a frozen burrito. I'm so cold I can barely feel my fingertips as I type, and the battery on my phone is fading fast, so I'll be brief. If the temple reaches out to you through this group, block them. Don't engage with them. They are not here to help. They are liars. I was taken in by a temple patrol on my way back to camp from a supply run. I was just walking along when they took me down with a dart. I didn't even know what was happening until my face hit the ground. I bashed the guard's head in when he came to empty my chamber pot and managed to escape through a window, but they're chasing me now. Don't trust the temple.